Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. How y'all doing? Good. Good? Did you see how I said y'all?
No.
All right, so after 3 short weeks, I've successfully transitioned, because in Pittsburgh we say yins. And you probably never heard that word. That means you all. So now, in a couple weeks now, I've successfully translated yins to y'all. So I'm happy to be here and get going. I'm extremely excited to officially add 15 new players and families to the Mississippi State football program. Excuse me, the road to signing day is a long and winding journey with lots of twists and turns. With that being said, there's been a tremendous amount of time and effort put forth by our school, our coaching staff, and our support staff to successfully assemble a recruiting class of this caliber. I would like to personally thank the people who deserve recognition for their commitment to building State Team 18. Number one, our university, President Keenum, Mr. Cohn, and our athletic administration for providing our coaching staff with the resources necessary to sign a top-ranked recruiting class. So certainly very appreciative of them. The people behind the scenes who assist and play an integral role in our recruiting efforts, certainly our university flight department, who with us zigzagging across the country for the past 2 or 3 weeks and sometimes didn't know what state or city I was in, but those guys always made sure we got up and got down safe and got there in an expeditious manner. Our professors and our academic advising who do a great job during our recruiting weekends, assisting our young men and their families about the classes they'll be taking and how they'll be supported academically. The people who work in the hotels and the restaurant workers, for putting our guys up and feeding them during the weekends. Our equipment staff, our video staff, sports medicine, compliance, and certainly Bill and his sports information staff. And all these people unselfishly devote their time and resources with very little credit or fanfare. And I would like to say how much our staff certainly appreciates everything that they do. Next, I'd like to thank the high school coaches and fans we met on the road, particularly in the great state of Mississippi. The people were incredibly accommodating and welcomed this Pittsburgh boy with open arms. Southern hospitality is a real thing, as is a passion for Mississippi State football. The number of pictures, autographs, handshakes, there were just too many to count. So I really certainly appreciate everything that the great state has done in welcoming myself, our new coaches, and my family down here. Next, I'd like to thank our coaching staff and recruiting department. Obviously, I know that the change is difficult, guys. I get that part. But the staff I've retained, in addition to our new hires, have done an unbelievable job in the transition, and I think it's a testament to the relationships that we have built and cultivated over the past 2 years, as well as the past 2 weeks. With players, their families, and with high school coaches, I feel it says a lot about the direction of and belief in our football program and our coaching staff. Lastly, most importantly, I'd like to thank the 2018 commits and their family members. The recruiting process in its simplest form to me is about relationships and about decision-making criteria. I would like to personally thank all the parents and family members who believed in our culture and vision enough to allow their sons to play for this coaching staff and for our football program. It is our promise to be great mentors to our players, to help guide them to exceed their potential as students, as players, and as people. Lastly, most importantly, I would like to thank the members of State Team 18 for their unwavering loyalty and for deciding to join a football program on the rise who will help them achieve their goals in the classroom, on the field, and in the community. We want our incoming class to exhaust their eligibility and cross the stage of graduation in 4 years with a world-class degree in one hand and 4 championship rings on the other. So I'm certainly grateful for them and excited to add them into our football program. Just a recruiting class overview. What we were looking for in this class from a physical standpoint, we wanted to bring in players with football ability to help us win an SEC championship and compete for a national championship. And from an intangibles perspective, wanted guys who are smart, tough, disciplined, have great work ethic, and care more about team success and individual recognition. So obviously y'all have the handout in terms of the players, the positions, the states, the accolades, and all those things. Those are my thoughts on the process, how it's gone down, and if I'd call it a whirlwind if I had time to stop and think that it was a whirlwind. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions y'all may have.
David Murray, Jeans Page 24/7. First, how many scholarships do you still have to give in this current class, either the next couple of days of February, and second, just in general, you feel good about your...
It's fluid. We're going to be in the 4 to 5 range moving forward.
Hey, Joe, Will Simon from Party and Leisure.
How's it going?
Going pretty well.
Good.
How about you? I'm doing great. Awesome. kind of, like you mentioned, a kind of a whirlwind event for you to come in here and recruit within 3 weeks, 3 or 4 week span. What are your thoughts on the early signing period from your vantage point of being a new coach, new town, new state, doing the job?
Yeah, really kind of trying to digest it. I mean, this is our first time through it, and obviously, moving the date back into December, it allows kids to make a decision earlier, get signed earlier, and kind of get the, the process finished with. Certainly I think, there are people who probably a lot smarter than me that sit in rooms and kind of, come to the decision making of when and where and things like that. So to me, I'm going to look at it and kind of see how it goes for the first year, kind of gather some information and digest. So the thing that made it difficult from a personal perspective is, you get hired, you need to secure your current commitments, you need to add additional guys, and you're trying to hire a full-time staff and bring your own coaches in. So you're having recruiting weekends, and kids are sitting there, and you may or may not have a position coach because they're out of coaching the Bulls and coaching in the NFL. So, so from a certain standpoint, I like it because it allows kids to get their decision, over with and allow them to move forward with their high school career. But at the same time, from a coaching perspective, it does present some challenges, from a systematic and strategic standpoint.
Joel Coleman, Star for Daily News.
Sir?
Obviously, maybe no position got helped out more today than the wide receiver group and things. Just how big of a priority coming in was it for you to land the guys that you got today?
No, I think it's huge, and I think if you guys have seen what we've done offensively at Penn State and even at Fordham and before that, we were a 3 wide receiver team. We're going to play with mostly 11 personnel, and I think Mississippi State, looking at the film, we've had an opportunity to do that as a staff. We devoted some time to sit back and look at the games from last year, and we've gone out to practice and watched the guys, and we certainly had a lot of success running the ball here, and I think an area we're able to improve a little bit is the pass game, and certainly with 3 playmakers, like Guidry, Wap, and Malik, that's certainly going to help us in that regard. Very excited about those guys.
Of those 3 guys, you anticipate them, those guys making an impact early on, and who else from this group do you look at and say, okay, this guy could help us rather quickly sooner than later?
From an offensive standpoint, more. I mean, just looking at it, obviously Steven's an older kid. He's a junior college player and has a lot of experience. But I think when you look at it, from an offensive, defensive, and special teams perspective, we want an opportunity to evaluate our guys in our winter program. See what they can do in spring ball, and before we make any kind of sweeping generalizations. The good thing for the young guys coming in is everyone's going to essentially start from the same base foundation. Experience is one thing from playing in games, but none of the guys will have played in our systems. They'll get a spring ball, under their belts. But I think it's a great opportunity for our older guys to come in and earn their stripes in their playing time during spring ball, and our young guys come in during fall camp and compete.
I'm Brett Hudson, the Commercial Dispatch.
How's it going?
Good. You got Wap and Shamar Gilby-Lane here on signing day. And what was the pitch to those guys, and how'd you get those 2?
No, just like we've talked to all of our guys about, that it is our goal and mission to make sure, that as coaches and educators that we're going to develop them, academically, athletically, and socially. And with our culture and our vision, we want to make sure that, we're doing the right things in the classroom to make sure they get their degree, and putting them in a position to be successful with our schemes. Number 1, to ensure team success, and with team success comes individual recognition. And lastly, through our culture and the things that we want to do to develop them as people. So, ultimately that's what I think it is, and said, recruiting is a decision-making criteria, and it's about relationships. So it's, that the schools that have offered you, relative to the things that you want out of the experience. And I think that the kids have seen through the, staff we've retained, our new coaches, and the things that we're going to do as a football program. That's what they want to be part of.
I know you said earlier about the handful of spots left. What positions do you still need to target here?
That's to be determined. We've gotten through today. I think we've done a good job, putting this class together, and we're going to take a little time tonight when we get together tomorrow in January and kind of put out a road plan for where we're going to go moving forward, because it is a fluid situation.
Logan Lowry, Daily Journal and Tupelo. How's it going?
Great.
With Maiden, just you've been an offensive guy. What did you like about him as a quarterback for me? I know he's already committed when you got here, but what did you like about keeping him?
The first thing is he's left-handed, so am I. It'll be the first time I've had an opportunity to coach a left-handed quarterback, so I won't have to flip that around in my head and kind of get it all turned around and twisted. But Jalen, you talk about the composition of a great quarterback and things that those guys do that allow them to be successful and very successful at this level is number one, intelligence, two, the ability to beat you with his arms, and three, the ability to beat you with his legs. He was a winner in high school. He's a very smart, intelligent kid, very articulate. Loves to study the game. He likes the preparation aspect as much as he likes the playing part. And like I said, he can throw the ball, and with how we're going to ask the quarterback to be involved and really orchestrate the pass game, short game, intermediate, play action pass. And I'm sure you guys know how much we like to throw the ball down the field. He certainly can do that, and his ability as a runner is well documented, and that'll fit well with what we're doing in the run game as well.
Danny Smith, Starkville Daily News. Coach, you said it was a whirlwind and you only had a month really to hit certain areas of the state, but how far, what areas did you concentrate most on, and just how big of a span were you able to do in a month?
Well, a lot of credit goes to Brad Peterson, Pat Austin, and Rod Gibson, guys that I retained and really have a great feel for the state and for the area. And a lot of it, more than anything, was me getting in front of the kids who were already committed. And it was Mississippi, it was Louisiana, it was Florida, it was Texas, and it seemed like everywhere in between. Sometimes you come back to the hotel and forget what room you're in because you've been in two nights. But they did a great job, and we went to and we will continue to go where the players are. And like I said, I think those guys did a very good job. Were instrumental in our efforts.
Ronnie Smith from WCBI TV. Coach, talk a little bit about this whole overall class. How pleased are you with this overall class?
Overall, I think it's good in the sense that it's a bunch of young men who, like I said, possess the athletic skill and football ability to help us win an SEC championship and compete for a national championship. And they're good kids off the field as well. And like anything, you want to continue, to address your positional needs where maybe you have a number where you're a little low or a little high, and I think we did a good job with that. And obviously you want to always, improve your athleticism, improve your size, improve your speed, improve your skill, and I think across the board we did that. So I'm very, very, very pleased with this class.
Do you know when we should anticipate more assistant coach hirings?
I do, and a lot of it right now is predicated on when their seasons end. So essentially that's what it is right now. From an on-the-field perspective of the 10, obviously you have the 10th, which is January 9th is the time you're allowed to hire the 10th. But the remaining positions are really predicated on when two particular guys' seasons end, and then they'll be able to join us. We have the people identified. It's just a season thing right now.
You've been able to watch a few practices out there. Just your impressions of the team that you've got, just being able to see them with your own two eyes.
Yeah, I wish I was coaching, to be honest with you, but I also understand the difficulty of trying to get both things done. But I think there's great size, very athletic. They've been very energetic and flying around the field. I think Coach Knox and staff have done a very good job of getting the guys ready to play a great opponent like Louisville. But more than anything, I had to take a roster with numbers out there to make sure I knew who I was evaluating and what they were doing. But for the most part, I've tried to be very respectful of the seniors, very respectful of this team, because I was a part of this journey, and this is the culmination of their season. So I was kind of just trying to sit in the back, make my observations, make my notes, and I've been very pleased with what I've seen. I think the coaches have done a great job, and I think the kids have done a great job practicing as well.
Taylor Rayburn with the Reflector. Just what are your thoughts on the first early signing period, and then also how do you balance finishing out this class as opposed to going ahead and working on the 2019 class?
My thoughts, like I mentioned earlier, it's good in the sense that it allows kids who are confident in their decision to sign and then move forward with their high school careers. Kind of the trickle-down effect and ripple effect of the other things, where the calendar kind of moves and things like that. I think there's things that need to be evaluated and are to be determined. What was the second part? I'm sorry.
How do you balance finishing out this class as opposed to moving on to the 2019 class?
That's exactly right. It's going to be a balance, where we got to evaluate our remaining needs and fill in the numbers with guys in this class, but at the same time, our recruiting staff here, in addition to the people I brought along who have been recruiting 19s all along, so the remainder of the recruiting cycle prior to the second signing day will be a balance of filling out the 18 class and getting a jump start on the 19s.
mentioned a couple of times now, some of the staff that you retain, things that, can you disclose those names and things for us, any of your staff?
I mean, yeah, we're gonna announce it soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That was,
Yeah.
Having been head coach before, can you compare this type of signing day to what you did at Fordham?
Well, in the sense that they were both football classes that were signed, I think that would make it similar. We had having, and I say this with great deference, having been at Akron for 4 years and at UConn for 3 years and being a part of, major BCS football or, mid-major football, I kind of had an idea, as an assistant what went into it. And my whole thought process at Fordham is we were going to run it as much like a Division I major football program as possible. So we had the same thing, posting the signings on social media and how to meet the recruit night afterwards. So, it's the same in the sense that you're signing kids and providing them an opportunity to improve their lives with football as a vehicle to their education. But certainly, there weren't 20 people assembled in the room to talk about our Fordham signing classes. So, football's football, kids are kids. It's just certainly much more publicity at a much higher level here.
There was a kid that you signed out of Lynn, linebacker.
Yep.
I personally don't know much about him. What can you share about him and why you want him to be part of this class?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that our recruiting staff knew. Pat, Rod, and Brad, and had a relationship with him. And like we talked about earlier, you look at the needs by number, and things were maybe a little heavy, a little thin. Linebacker was an area of need, and one where we needed to kind of build our depth there a little bit. And he's a dynamic playmaker. He flies around on film in both his high school and his college film. And as a guy with some experience at the college level, we'll have an opportunity to come in and compete for repetitions.
Just to clarify the JUCO additions, him and Goodry, they're 2 years, they'll play 2 years?
Yes.
I think there's just, perhaps my opinion is different than other people, but Montez Sweat's had a really great season, eligible for the draft. Have you had any conversations with him about whether he'll be back next season?
We've had, Coach Shoup and I have both, spoken with Montez, and, like I said, we want this to be a time where he's concentrating on this team and this bowl game, but, Bob and I both sat down and talked to him, and I wouldn't say had lengthy conversations, but have reiterated our stance that we'd love him to come back because he's a very good football player and like to see him get his degree. So I think those are things as we move on and the bowl game concludes that we'll talk about in greater detail.
You got your first look at Damian Webb. What did you think of him, and how will he fit into your system?
No, I think he possesses a lot of the positional attributes and skills that we've had, in our running backs in this system that have found a lot of success. I mean, you look at, he's not as big as Saquon, but he's comparable to a lot of the other guys we had on the Penn State roster, Miles Sanders, some of the other guys. And go back to my time at Fordham, we had a kid there named Chase Edmonds, who was about to break the all-time FCS record this year and got hurt, and he's a guy that's going to be drafted. So, he's a back with good size, excellent vision, tremendous change of direction, and breakaway speed. He can catch the ball well too. So, how we operate, being an inside zone team, and do some things on the perimeter, I think he's a good fit for what we're going to do.
Cameron Gardner, a guy from right here in Strawford, do you anticipate him staying at tight end, or is it a guy that you might be able to move around some, or is it too early to say?
No, I think he's let's say a hybrid. And when you look at our offenses, at Penn State and at Fordham, and even before that, a majority of those guys who've had an opportunity to play in our system have moved on to the next level and played in the NFL. From Michael Gesicki, who'll be a high draft pick this year, to Fordham kids all got into a camp, and going back to Ryan Griffin at UConn. And the thing that we like about Cameron is he's big, he's physical, he's athletic, but he possesses, an ability to block. So I think what we look for in the tight end position is a guy who, when you have him lined up on the core of the formation, he can block like a tight end and be able to outrun linebackers. And when you split him out, he's a size matchup for safety. So I think, with him playing mostly receiver in high school, but being physical enough, he provides us that flexibility.
That it? All right.
That's it. All right, guys, appreciate